I'll request my colleague Nitish to take over from here.
Right. Thank you so much, Pooja. So a very good evening to one and all. I welcome you all to the sixth session of the Design Talk series organized by the Confederation of Indian Industry in collaboration with World Design Organization and University of Petroleum and Energy Studies. The series is conceptualized to sensitize the Indian stakeholders the benefits of investing in design. This initiative will not only give boost to the existing design sector, but will also expand the thinking process on how to be more innovative and creative. Global stalwarts from different parts of the world will be invited to share their journey and experience with Indian audience to learn and gain insights from. I am Nitish Das, representing CII design team. We'll be happy to share that CII has been earnestly pursuing the strategy for promoting and leveraging design towards accelerating economic growth. CII has diligently worked to bolster and support the economy and society by demonstrating the vital role of design in making businesses more competitive and public services more effective. We are pleased to have World Design Organization's partnership for this initiative. WDO is an organization with global footprint advocating, promoting, and sharing knowledge of industrial design-driven innovation that has the power to create a better world. Our supporting partner, University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, is one of the leading institutions who nurtures responsible designers, who possesses cultural understanding and are agile and have broad-based innovation capabilities. Designers who can create intelligent, inclusive, sensitive design, whether to make big differences or small ones. With this now, I would like to introduce Professor Pradyumna Vyas. Professor Vyas is currently Senior Advisor in CII and has more than 36 years of profession and teaching experience in different spheres of design. He is the board member of WDO and former director of the National Institute of Design. In 2019, he has been awarded the honor of Good Design Fellow by the Japan Institute of Design Promotion, Tokyo. May I now request Professor Vyas to give his welcome address, please.
Thank you, Nitish. Indeed, pleasure to have with us Mr. Parag Trivedi, UX Director, Microsoft, and Professor Manisha Mohan, Dean of University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Department of Design. Just to give you a little backdrop is that we have started at CII Design Talk series, and it is the sixth session. And idea is that a lot of corporates already have gone into design thinking activities for innovations. We are also looking into this MSME, that how they can use this strategic design thinking for their business development and startups. So I see that this large number of participants today who are joining, and Mr. Parag Trivedi, who has you will come to know about his backdrop, but his journey is really from engineer to designer to hardcore manufacturing to now heading the world-class organization. Is certainly nice to share his journey in this particular design talk series. And there is going to be conversation between Professor Manisha Mohan and Mr. Parag Trivedi. And I would like you to also afterwards ask questions. I know that many of the participants are students who would know that how this whole career path in design area. There may be some faculty members and some professionals who are joining. So it's a great session. I have attended earlier a couple of sessions, and I thought that it's a very personal journey which they discuss about their career growth, and will learn a lot from their rich experience. So I'm not going to take much time because we have limited time, and Mr. Parag Trivedi could take out from his busy schedule. In fact, when I spoke with him, he said that there are a couple of meetings lined up on 4th, but he has taken out some time for us. So please take advantage of this discussion, and I'm sure all of you will have some questions afterwards which can be addressed, and I'm looking forward to the session. And So all the best for all of you to go through this session, and over to you, Nitish.
Thank you so much, Professor Vyas, to set the context. And now I would like to introduce our key speaker of today's session, Mr. Parag Trivedi. Mr. Parag Trivedi is presently leading design and research across various product areas like Office on Mobile, Microsoft Lens Learning, OneDrive, and SharePoint. Mr. Parag and team are focused on solving some of the challenging problems in the areas of productivity and learning. Solution spaces include content, workflows, intelligence-powered camera, delightful experience across endpoints for Microsoft customers. We uncover insights or by empathizing with our customers and co-create solutions by leveraging design thinking and engaging with all stakeholders. Prior to joining Microsoft, he was heading design team at GE Healthcare. Mr. Parag had an opportunity to set up world-class design studio at GE Healthcare and build the culture of customer co-creation. Before joining GE, he was heading design team at Honeywell, India. He has worked in various areas of design, have experience of more than 15 years in leading team at different organizations with people of diverse background. His overall experience includes design management, strategic design, and also hands-on experience in executing design till the last detail. He has undergone through full life cycle of various software and HW product. Experience of product development from scratch, as well as experience in design research. He has also won International Design Award and hold design patent. Now I would also like to introduce Professor Manisha Mohan. So Professor Manisha Mohan is the Dean of UPS School of Design, is a seasoned design professional with more than 2 decades of experience in e-learning, design, and animation, an expert in graphic design, animation, experience design, and applied games. She has worked extensively on interactive products that assess and assist children with learning disabilities. She has won several national and international awards for innovation and design for her customer-centric projects across verticals such as healthcare, manufacturing, retail, publishing, and among others. Now I would like to invite Professor Manish to initiate the conversation with Mr. Parag. Over to you, Professor Manisha.
Thank you so much, Nitish. First of all, I'd like to thank CII and World Design Organization for this wonderful initiative. I think these design talks will really help to acknowledge the good work that's happening in design and celebrate design across India and across the world. It is a great privilege to have Mr. Parag Trivedi on this session, and I don't want to really take the stage from him. I would really like him to, first of all, start with his journey and really tell us a little bit about how he got into design, and also reflect on what UX design is all about, user experience design is all about.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Manisha, and for having me here. It's a great, really glad to be here and looking forward to this conversation. So about my journey, how I got into design. So if I look back, I think from childhood itself, I used to observe things very keenly, people, environment, and object. And I used to love creating stuff, whether it is creating something by carving wood, or maybe painting, or building working model. And I was fortunate enough to get some early guidance that, hey, these are some good traits, maybe you should try for design. And that's how I got exposed to design. I was fortunate enough to get early inspiration and mentoring from some of the great designers in our maybe family itself. And that's how I got into design. I did my master's in industrial design from IIT Bombay, IDC. And then, then I have been in this field for last 24 years now. I started my career as an industrial designer in a consumer durable company, and then moved to software interaction design, worked in a few multinational companies, was briefly in Japan for with Hitachi Global Design Studio to create and learn how they build advanced concept. And then, then I moved to GE started a design studio, and for last 4 years, I am here at Microsoft, figuring out how do we redefine productivity on mobile and leverage all the technologies to deliver a delightful experience. So I think that's kind of pretty much my journey. I think the other question you had asked is what is UX design? Yeah, so UX design, I mean, in a general sense, people refer it as how you interact with the product. And it is mostly referred in the context of someone interacting with the maybe mobile application or website or any software. But the true, in a true sense, user experience is not only about maybe just interacting with a software or a, it is just one of the touch point in the journey of a overall experience. So if you, and that's a UI touch point or user interface touch point is what I would call. If you look at UX in the true sense, it is actually about looking at the end-to-end journey. And that end-to-end journey actually starts with even from uncovering an awareness of the solution, and then how do you buy it or you install it, and then you start using it, and maybe you upgrade or you upsell. So there are many touch point, or maybe at the end you will discard. So this is the actual journey is quite bigger than having only one touch point, which is when you actually use it. And typically we refer that as the UX, but the actual journey is far bigger. There are multiple touch points in the journey, and experience at each touch point matters. And that's what we typically refer when we refer UX design. So that is about the breadth in terms of various touch point in the journey, and all of those are considered as part of UX. The other dimension is if you have to understand the experience, it is very important to really understand what need you are addressing and whether it is the true need which needs to be addressed. The other dimension is what is the context in which you are addressing the problem, and also the emotional state of users who are sort of experiencing that solution. So for every touch point, the context, the need, and the emotional state becomes extremely important when we think about the overall UX. So, I mean, that's how I see UX on two dimensions. One is, hey, the breadth of various touch points in the entire journey. And then when you look at one touch point, then you look at in the context of what need you are addressing, what is the context, what are the emotional state, and how can I leverage the technologies to actually deliver the right solution at each touch point.
Great. Thank you so much for that definition of UX that really made it come alive. We're sort of living in a world of digital transformation. There are so many changes happening in the world of technology, which are impacting the way we design products because users are interacting with products very differently. And also there are innovations such as metaverse and VR and AI and so many transformational changes that are happening in the world around us. How can students, how can future designers prepare themselves better for a world in this, which is rapidly changing, and where there are new challenges, new requirements from users? What sort of attributes do we need to build?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question, because like you said, the technology is constantly evolving. The scenarios, the context around us is changing. So there are a couple of things. One is no matter what, in the sense, no matter what the technology is, the fundamental thing is the user experience design keeps user at the center. And as a designer, if we can learn that one thing well, as in our ability to really empathize with the end user and deeply understand the need, deeply understand their mental model, deeply understand the emotions they go through, I think that that is kind of a constant, in the sense technology will keep changing. but we as a designer have to be really deep rooted in terms of empathizing with the user and truly understanding the need deeply. Having said that, the technology is equally important because that's how you deliver the solution. And some of the things which I'm seeing currently happening, there are some of the trend which comes to my mind as you're asking this question is, one is things are becoming intelligent. Like if we talk about how artificial intelligence is getting leveraged across industry. So things are becoming intelligent, and that is also changing the sort of mental model or what people expect naturally for a certain solution to behave in certain way. Like, certain things have become like a new normal. Like, for example, if you type and if you have typed incorrectly, if you're searching something and if you have typed incorrectly, still it will understand and give you the result. Now, things like this where there is an intelligence playing a role, but now it has become a new normal. Like you would expect system to correct it and move on. So everything is becoming intelligent, and we as a designer should know about now where things, where the intelligence has actually become a new normal, and where are the other possibilities where we can leverage intelligence to make the experience far simpler. So we as a designer need not to restrict ourselves with only like creating certain interfaces, but expose ourselves with the possibilities of technology which can really help you solve the problem in a far more effective manner by leveraging, like, for example, artificial intelligence. So that is one aspect where things are becoming intelligent. We as a designer should know what are the capabilities, where all we can use, how we can use it, so that we weave them naturally in the flow. I think that's the other important aspect I would like to highlight is whenever we make anything intelligent or leverage artificial intelligence, it should naturally weave in the flow. I mean, it should not become obtrusive or come in the way of you doing things. And like, for example, in Microsoft PowerPoint, when you create a slide, then on side it shows you that, hey, you have created a slide. Here are 3, 4, 5 layout you can choose. So it actually assisting you, not coming in the way. And things like this can be leveraged in various solutions. So I think that is point number one. The other aspect from a technology perspective is the interaction modality is changing a lot. Like, for example, use of voice interaction. Earlier we would design a complex navigation system or try to simplify the navigation system and make it more simple and simple. With voice, you can just cut down the navigation level. Like, you don't have to worry about how things have been structured in the system. You just say what you want. Hey, I want to listen to this song, and then the song will be played. So I, as a user, need not to worry about what is the navigation structure here and in which folder where things are stored and how do I get access to it. I just say what I want and the system would respond. Similarly, camera is another very powerful interaction modality where through vision, through camera, you can interact with the product. Like, cameras have become far more intelligent. They can understand what they are seeing, and then once they see it, they can give you enough options for user to act on. So, like, use of voice, use of camera, and like you mentioned, metaverse, where you actually interact in a virtual world. You bring the physical and digital in the same environment. So I think the interaction modalities are evolving. The future applications would leverage not only single interaction modality, but multimodal interaction, which will go very close to how as a human to human we interact, right? Like, again, going back to my earlier point, that if you keep paying attention to humans and how they interact, the technology will follow, right? If you see the advancement which are happening in terms of vision, voice, even metaverse, they all are actually taking us to a more natural way of interacting with the environment and product. So, like, I can talk to product, I can see, and the application can also see me and respond. So those kind of things. So I think the two things, yes, things are becoming intelligent, the interaction modalities are changing. And third point is around power of network, like now the humans are far more connected than ever. Like, you have human networks getting built everywhere, whether it is Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or any, work related network, or people are far more connected. And that again open up a lot more possibility to deliver solution more effectively by leveraging the strength of network, and which has become possible with all the new technologies through which we all are always connected. So some of the things, just to summarize, I think if we pay attention to intelligence, different interaction modalities, and the power of network, I think some of those things can influence very heavily the way we build our product. And just one last point. So this was about how we can leverage these technologies to create solution. The other side is the way we build solution is also changing. Like I remember in earlier days, we used to do a very long research, then we would make something, and then we'll take it out and then we'll test. Those days are gone. Now you are constantly learning. Like the moment your product is out, you are constantly getting data of how people are using it, how they are interacting with it, and so you can learn on the fly. And even the design which you build is not a fixed design. It also adapt based on how people are responding to it. Like, oh, you like this news, so then I will show you more news like this. Or if you are the one who is more interested in watching news versus creating content, then maybe my information architecture will change a bit based on how I use that product. So then you enable those kind of flexibility in your design, which can adapt to user behavior on the fly. So you don't go, you design your system in a way that has a flexibility to adapt itself to user behavior, which you learn constantly, and you don't have to intervene. You define the logic, and based on how people are sort of reacting to the system will adapt itself. So I think those are some of the things which I have seen changing versus like a very rigid design to something which can adapt on the fly based on user behavior.
Thank you. That was a great answer. And it really does help to paint a great picture of what designers should aspire to be and what they should aspire to learn. It seems like we are in an era where we need to humanize technology, and where creativity and technology are co-influencing each other. And we really need to look at personalizing the experience for users.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that. From this, I'd really like to take it to what are some of the examples of maybe some of the work that you're able to talk about in Microsoft or GE. You've got a very wide range of experience in some of the top organizations. So it would be great to know about some examples of some of the work that you've been doing.
Yeah, sure. I can pick one example. Maybe from GE, people can relate it at a different from a different context. So the one thing which we learned there is, and again, like if I look back, the nature of problem I used to address when I had started my career, like when in Bajaj. I mean, we used to do styling, and then hey, there is one room cooler, and in the next season we have to launch another, and we will change the fascia to make it look different. So the role of designer was to change the look and feel, solve certain usability problem, and then that's pretty much what you would do. Versus over a period of time, and the example which I'm taking from GE, the nature of problem was very different. The nature of problem was really driving outcome. So like we used to work very closely with large hospitals, and then our job was not only to design a certain medical equipment and the hospitals or caregiver would use it, but really look at how can you actually help people ultimately drive the outcome. And by outcome I mean here is, suppose if you're designing a baby warmer, then the major goal was there is how can you reduce infant mortality rate. So it was not only about like, hey, I have designed a baby warmer or, certain other medical equipment which can help in neonatal care, but how do we look at the end outcome, which is reduce infant mortality rate? Or the objective was not to hey design one CT or MRI and give it to the hospital, but actually help a hospital improve maybe clinical efficacy or operational efficiency or patient experience. And the role of design there was to really work very closely with customers and multiple stakeholders to understand what are the essential outcome which we should look at, and then do a very in-depth empathy exercise, research to understand, and we would do a first-hand sort of, we would actually go to customer site, spend time to understand the whole process, whether it is about operational efficiency or patient experience. So we would go through that journey, map out the entire journey, understand who are the different stakeholders involved, whether it is hospital staff and patients or caregiver or the the equipment manufacturer, all of that, and what role they play, what they expect out of the system, what are the pain point, and then sort of bring all of them together, build shared understanding of, hey, here are the issues, this is what we are looking at as the outcome, and then get into the ideation or iteration, I would say, to see what kind of intervention would make sense, what can we do. So that was like far more than maybe designing an interface of the device or maybe doing the styling of the device, but really look at the whole end-to-end cycle, which can lead to the end outcome. And then we had done this exercise even in the context of the neonatal care or the maternal care, where the objective was to reduce infant mortality rate, and we realized that we not only need one product, we need a portfolio of product. We not only need a portfolio of product, we have to make it serviceable, because if it has reached to a stage where we don't have a service technician, then how people are going to service it? Then when we made that available, affordable, it became affordable to people in remote areas, then we realized that you have to have trained technicians. Then how will you get trained technicians in a remote area? So then we started building solutions so that the device itself can help you learn, or then you integrate intelligence which can assist you to operate device, and then you make interface in a way that if you can use mobile, you can maybe use ultrasound. So interventions like those where you start assisting, then you need a sales force who can equip them to have the right conversation. So then we started creating sort of conversation aids for people to have the right conversation with the care provider. So the point I'm trying to tell is the learning there and the experience there was that if you really look at the end outcome, there are so many touch points you need to take care of. And here are some examples of what we did to not limit design thinking at designing product, but identify all the interventions with respect to what can make service easy, what can make the training related things can be taken care of, how can we empower the salesperson to have a meaningful conversation, how do we empower, there are people who are funding this effort, so how do you empower them by gathering data so that they can see whether things are moving in the right direction, so they are remain interested, because now they can see a data which is helping them whether the solution which has been deployed is leading to a result or not. So you actually bring, the people who are funding the initiatives, people who are actually executing the initiatives. So there are interventions needed at all point, and the role of, what we used to do is like step by step, create solution at all the touch points.
I think you've done some marvelous work and in very, very interesting areas. As we see it, more and more designers are entering boardrooms, and they are also playing a strategic role in organizations. So can you elaborate on how design can make a difference to the key measures like productivity or maybe revenue of an organization? How can designers play a strategic role?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. And like you rightly said, designers are, getting bigger and bigger role, playing more important and impactful role. Uh, so it see, ultimately, like the view, what we designers bring to the table is really deep understanding of humans and the end user. I think that is one key thing which they bring to the table. Along with that, uh, they have to build develop understanding of what really drives outcome. Like I said, there are various stakeholders are involved, so unless you build a holistic understanding, you understand the multiple point of views of the same thing in terms of what is needed to make the business sustainable, what kind of a solution would really make the business itself sustainable. uh, so things like this, once you start appreciating, once you start sort of going deeper in that, and you enhance your thinking, not to solve one specific experience problem, but solve in the larger context, then you become far more effective in any sort of a business context. So like at some point, like even in Microsoft, at some point we all are like product builder. So whether there is an engineering leader, or there is a program management leader, or there is a design leader, at the end they all are product leader, and they are thinking product as a whole. And once we start seeing beyond our function, which is you definitely bring that value, and you have to bring that value, but then you start appreciating the other functions, and then you start seeing the product as a whole. And that's when you can be effective at a larger, like you said, you can start impacting maybe strategies, or you can have design play a far bigger role. So unless you look at the larger picture, unless you are able to connect the dot in terms of how the right experience can help me drive certain outcome, if you're able to establish that link, then that makes you far more effective. So ability to really identify that what need and what is the right experience which can help us move in the right direction. If you're able to establish that, then that's when you can actually see that you are in a position to have a right conversation with the other leaders in the organization.
Thank you for that. I think given the power of design, there is a lot of difference that it can also make to society. So what do you feel are ways in which design can be integrated better into society to make a larger difference?
Yeah, I mean, there are specific societies trying to address certain problem. I think if we have to see like what is the best way to integrate, some of the things which I have seen happening around us is like even the introduction of design thinking at a very early stage. Like, even for my son, I see that from 5th standard itself, they have been exposed to design thinking, and they have learned to apply design thinking in various contexts. So one, I think there are two. One is awareness. The second is access. From an awareness perspective, if we start exposing students at a very early stage about design thinking, so that becomes their natural way of approaching any problem. I think that looks very powerful to me. That you actually not only like in design school as a undergrad and postgraduate, but even like students from 5th standard get exposed to it, and they start applying that thinking and mindset in their day-to-day thing. Seems like a very powerful thing which I see happening around us. The other is maybe there are certain platforms can be leveraged to enable better access. If somebody is looking for a certain kind of help, and then they know there are certain communities or a network which can be tapped to get access to expert who can partner to help. Like there are crowdsourcing, crowdfunding kind of initiatives. So even a similar model can be leveraged to tap into this large resource pool. It can help into addressing some of these problems. So that might address the problem of excess. I think the awareness and exposure at early stage, which becomes part of a curriculum, can a good way to integrate at early stage.
And how do you see design decision makers really taking decisions that will impact the well-being of society, the environment, and some of the very important factors that are global challenges today?
Yeah, I think that's again a great question, and that's where this whole human-centric head of designer is extremely important, because you might have certain business objective which you have to balance with the things like the well-being and the sustainability and responsible design. I mean, there are applications who would create or have algorithm which will make you very addictive, and you won't be able to leave the application because, oh, I did this and again I want to see this, and you end up spending hours and hours and hours looking at one thing. I mean, it's a great thing for that particular app because you have a very highly engaged user, but it is definitely not good for the person who is spending like 8 hours, 6 hours doing something which is not necessarily highly productive in nature. So there's a need for having certain responsible design, and like nowadays we see in the operating system itself, it shows you the screen time where they're saying, yeah, I mean, it is good if you use, but don't overuse. So I think a small intervention like this, and even when we talk about artificial intelligence, it comes with a very high responsibility of being transparent or being ethical in terms of ensuring privacy and what you show, and removing biases. So there is that responsibility also comes along with when you leverage a technology. And if we talk about the other dimension in terms of, we always talk about people-centric design, but there is also, like, if you really care about people, then it has to be planet-centric design as well, because there are things which can lead to a very high the carbon footprint. There are things which can are not sustainable in nature. So even things like this are extremely important for us as a designer to not only think from the perspective of business, but really think, or maybe there is a harmony, right? Like if you can actually strike a good harmony in terms of considering the planet centric design, which takes care of the renewable energy, or the way you design spaces, or the way you think about the disposal of products. So there are these dimensions which are extremely important, and I think we all as designer needs to be sensitive about it, and ensure that when we build this product, we are not creating more problem, and in order to solve one problem, we are actually not creating more damage to the planet. And if we are using, in the software context, if we are using certain technologies, we are using responsibly to ensure that we are not affecting the well-being of humans, like not making them addictive, or not creating a lot of anxiety. I mean, people, there are examples where people get anxious, always in this mental state of fear of missing out kind of thing. So how do you balance that aspect? So both, whether it is hardware design, space design, or software design, I think those are very important and fundamental aspect of being truly human-centric, value-driven, and also like planet-centric.
The pandemic itself had opened up a lot of possibilities for designers. Of course, the pandemic has been very tough on everybody across the world, and it has really made us reflect on life itself and rethink. But for design and designers, I think there was a need for agility. and they have to very promptly think of new solutions, think on their feet. So that was very important. What do you see as possibilities that opened up for designers, for entrepreneurship through the pandemic?
Yeah, I think the pandemic has suddenly, like, it has drove digital transformation to almost like exponentially, in the sense organizations have achieved the transformation in just last 2 years. Otherwise they would have taken, like, 5, 6, 7, 8 years to reach that state. Same thing has happened in our own day-to-day use, right? There are many digital solutions we have adopted fully, which I don't know how much time we would have taken to actually get to that state. So I think that is one aspect that people are getting used to it. It is almost like in every field you would see the digital solutions are becoming a way to move forward. Couple of things to keep in mind, I think, from design perspective is like there are opportunities, and we one, I think, which I have observed is now the designer, because like people either by choice or forcefully, they have to move to a digital solution. And in that case, we have to be truly inclusive to make it in a way that people with very low digital literacy are equally empowered and well equipped with this solution. Because now maybe in pandemic, the other option is gone, right? Like now you have only digital solution to meet your requirement. So in this kind of a context, when the other options are not accessible, it becomes far more important for designers to be a lot more inclusive in their approach, so that we don't miss out people. From an opportunity perspective, I see a big opportunity where people are in this transition phase, like, and we are not fully moved to digital. And maybe there is a need to design systems in a way which feels a lot more natural. And I'll take one very specific example to explain what I mean by that. Like teachers, in classroom are now completely shifted to online teaching, but they still need a whiteboard. They still need to draw something quickly or explain, and that, hey, this is the equation, this is how we solve it, or this is the diagram, this is what you do it. Now those things are maybe not very easy to do it in the completely digital platform. And so there are some, like recently the Microsoft itself in their Teams application, what we have done there is like teacher using their laptop or mobile can just point to the whiteboard and they can draw naturally. Need not to worry about that, or it is skewed or it is not coming perfectly as a rectangle. In whatever angle it is, you just point your camera, you come in front of the board and draw it. The software will make you transparent. Software will correct your perspective. Software will correct the perspective of the whiteboard, and students will be able to see. So now with this kind of intervention, you are enabling people to work in their physical environment the way they would like to do it, but then you are using technology to integrate seamlessly in the digital world by, because if I draw standing in front of a whiteboard, I will actually block the vision, but the software will make you transparent so that the students can see it. It will make the perspective correct so people can see it correctly. So there are many, I think, such opportunities where how do you bring this physical ease or physical into digital environment in many workflows and make it far more easier for people to perform their jobs. That I think can be a good way to look at. One is, hey, there's a complete digital solution. The other is, how do I bring in this physical and digital very close, which feels far more natural. And I think there are such challenges and opportunities in every space, because like even for doctors who are not fully into digital medium, it is hard to suddenly start typing and then how can we bring leverage technology to help there. So everywhere there are opportunities. As we are moving into digital space, completely moving to digital workflow, bringing physical to digital can be another good area for people to look at.
Thank you. That was a great answer. Also, now looking at a national level or at a global level, where can design make a difference to the future? Where can design and designers make a difference, and how can they go about it?
Yeah, again, I mean, there are two things, right? Like, see, one, I mean, at a nation at large, we, like we have goals around well-being, sustainability, education. These are all agriculture. These are all areas which need tremendous. There is a tremendous need to really understand all the challenges, and that is where design thinking and design research can help us. First of all, map out all the problems, and then there are various technologies which can help us build effective solutions. So the one is even designers actively participating on larger issues in terms of challenges related to educations, and how do we deliver, what are the challenges. Like, for example, in if you look at our drop-off rate from kindergarten to 12th is almost 75% people drop off in their journey till 12th grade. And now the technology here can help to give you a predictive sort of trending that out of this student, there are this number of students who have a very high risk of dropout for certain reason, because they can predict trend. So these are some great intervention possibilities where once you start mapping out, this problem areas, and technology, you can leverage the right technology to solve this problem. Similarly, like if you look at agriculture, I mean, we have 250 million farmers. We are the second largest tractorable land in the world, but still the yield is a big problem. Still for farmers to get the right yield is really not optimized. And there again, if you understand why it is happening, you really actually go through the process, you really understand what are the challenges. The challenges is, hey, they are dependent on the rain for irrigation. They may not have the right insight as to when to sow seed, when is the right time to spray certain kind of pesticide, because there are certain external factors which may not be in their control and they may not be aware. And here again, the technology and design can help to give them insight in a way that becomes accessible and as well as actionable. By accessible, I mean is, yeah, there are poor farmers. So how do you deliver that? So maybe you design your system in a way that you can actually send them a message that, hey, this is the right time to sow seed, because I understand, the system understand the weather forecast, they understand what is the condition of soil. And based on this external parameter, you can give insight in a simple SMS format to farmers. So I'm just giving certain examples of, if you really, as a design community, if you start go deeper into these various areas, start mapping out problems, and then figure out the way in which the solution can be delivered in the most accessible format, can create a huge difference. And the example which I gave you about this farmer thing, where a simple SMS did the trick, and it actually led to a 30% increase in the yield for farmers, because they got the SMS that, hey, this is the right time to sow seed, this is the right time to spray certain pesticide, and that resulted into 30% higher yield compared to people who did not have the insight. The way it worked, because there was we didn't build any fancy application, because we knew that there are people who are using normal feature phone, and the best way to give insight is just send SMS. So like having this view, having a clear understanding of the end user context. So design has a great role to play at various stage in various industry to understand this whole system, and then figure out the right intervention depending on the various user personas, and then think about the right solutions.
Thank you so much. And I think some nations are better at integrating design than others. how do you see India being able to integrate design and designers into every aspect of life, right from maybe education or in the environment or in all the systems that we have?
Yeah, I think now the time, I guess, is right for India, as we are sort of playing very active role in the IT revolution. So, I mean, if you look at other nations, within the 18th, 19th century, when industrial revolution happened, there are certain nations who were leading it, and then the industrial design was born, and that's how the design actually become a formal sort of a discipline. So that was in the industrial era. When the industrial revolution happened, industrial design came into the picture, and then the nations saw the benefit, and the organizations saw the benefit of integrating design in the mass production and the solutions they were creating, and it started expanding into various other things. Maybe that time India was not sort of playing that active role or not participating actively in the industrial revolution, but now if you look at in IT revolution, I mean, the way the software industries are growing in India, and this stream of UI design, user experience design, is booming, and this is sort of the time where India can actually play a huge role in terms of not only delivering this solution at a scale for the whole world, but also bring our sort of, I would say, the natural cultural aspect of empathy, right? Like, we are taught empathy from, I mean, we just kind of inherit, we see it in our day-to-day life. And with the IT revolution, we are seeing the demand, we are seeing the opportunities, and I think at this point, maybe we miss the industrial revolution piece, but we are at the right spot to the current way, which is about information technology, artificial intelligence, and then the role of design in creating those experiences. So I feel the time is perfect for India to really create impact by leveraging our strength in software, by leveraging the presence of all the the right technological companies we have, the infrastructure we have, and I think things are sort of moving in a right direction, with government sort of looping in design in startup ecosystem, like the T-Hub in Telangana, or the need from all the large software organizations to pull and count on Indian user experience designer to solve large problem. So I think we are moving in the right direction. We need academia to play even larger role, to have even more stronger partnership with government and private organization to keep driving this wave, because I think this is the right time, and we are all set to actually create a sort of worldwide impact, and not only with the software engineering, but the experiences which we create for these large solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with you. I think this is an era for collaborations and partnership between industry, government, as well as academia to really make a difference. With this, I think we are almost running out of time, and there are some interesting questions from the audience already. I feel you addressed a lot of them through everything that you've been saying, but there's one question, I'll just pick one question because students are the future. So there is a question from the audience which says, how can students be heard? How can their view be heard, and how can it make a difference? How can it be captured in the space of UX, and how can they get a breakthrough?
Yeah, I think, like I said, this is, we are in the best time, because everyone, access is not a problem. Like, everyone has, there are so many networks, there are so many platforms where you can go and showcase your work. So like there's so many individuals. If there are individuals trying to create an impact, then there are various platforms, even things like, people go in Instagram and get very high reach, people go in Facebook, LinkedIn, all of these platforms give a certain access and reach to people to make their voice heard, to make them visible. And there are so many digital platforms which are coming up. Even if you are a designer and entrepreneur and you want to take your idea forward, then there are this crowdsourcing, crowdfunding kind of initiatives which can help to take your idea forward in terms of funding. So I guess I think if we just like the excess, the problem has, I think this is the right time actually. The challenge is, hey, do we really have a strong idea or need identified? The other things are, to me, looks like we are in a much better place in terms of reaching out to a larger audience, seeking funding or seeking support. We do have various platforms which can help us move forward. Like there are organizations, for example, organizations like even Microsoft, we organize a design challenge every year where we invite students from across the nation to share their ideas, submit their ideas, and then we sort of work with them. We if the ideas are great, we offer them that, hey, would you like to work with us? Would you like to join us? Would you like to or you just need some help for us, where we can work with you to guide, so either people can actually join or they can get guidance. I mean, there is one recent the design challenge which has been rolled out. So there are many such avenues in terms of already established platform on social media, or there are organizations who are very keen to partner with young talent and encourage them to participate in such challenges so that they get an opportunity to showcase their talent.
Thank you so much, Parag. I think there have been some wonderful insights coming from you through this entire discussion. I'm sure the audience will fully agree. I'm sure there is a representation from industry as well as students, and you've brought in all perspectives through all your words of wisdom. So I really enjoyed listening to you. Thanks a lot. And from here, I'll hand it over to Nitish.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Parag Trivedi and Professor Manisha Mohan, for sharing and for enriching all of us with the interactive and the insightful session. And as I totally agree with what Mr. Parag Trivedi mentioned, and a lot of things have to be worked upon. And as he said, that the develop of understanding and what solution will make businesses more sustainable is quite one of the major thing which the designers and the new entrepreneurs which are probably into the design field would be it will be helping them in the long run. And with this, I would like to mention thank you so much once again to Mr. Parag Trivedi for giving us time and sharing the wonderful insights. And thank you to all the participants and to Professor Manisha Mohan as well to be a part of this Design Talk series. We look forward to our next session, which is scheduled on 25th February 2022. Till then, stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you so much for being a part of the series. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Parag, we have certain questions from the participants. I would share them with you offline in case you can get some time to answer them. Then we can then send it out to the concerned people who had asked the questions to us.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go through it and see how many I can answer, but I would love to do that.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Mohan. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.